topic of my presentation is pupil. Here is the image of an eye, and this blue colored ring part is called the iris, and the small black aperture present in the middle of the iris is called the pupil. Now let's move on to our introduction part. The pupil is an aperture present in the center of iris of each eye. The pupil limits the amount of light reaching the retina. In bright light, the iris contracts, making the pupil smaller, thus allowing less light to enter our eyes. And in dim light, the iris relaxes, making the pupil bigger, thus allowing more light to enter the eyes. The pupil also controls the amount of chromatic and spherical aberrations in the retinal image. In this image, we can see that this is the pupil, the opening in the iris. This is the pupil, and through the pupil, light enters and reaches our retina. Let's move on. The two muscles that control the pupil are sphincter pupillae muscle and dilator pupillae muscles. The sphincter pupillae muscles are also known as the circular muscles of iris of eye. They are parasympathetic in nature, whereas the dilator pupillae muscles are also known as radial muscles of iris of eye, and they are sympathetic in nature. Here in this image, we can see how the circular muscles of iris contract, causing a constricted pupil, and how the radial muscles of iris contract, causing a dilated pupil. And this the white part here, and here this white part is the sclera. And now here the below image depicts how the pupil responds when subjected to bright light, normal light, and dim light. Here in this image, when pupil is subjected to bright light, the pupil constrict as circular muscles of iris contract, and hence our eyes get less amount of light. This is the image of normal pupil, and here when the pupil is subjected to dim light, the pupil dilates, hence allowing more light to enter our eyes. Let's move on. Normally, there is one pupil in each eye, but there may be more than one pupil also. Here, in this image, we can see that this iris has two pupils. This one is the first, and this one is the second. So, in this this type of condition is known as polychodia, where the eye is having more than one pupil. Now, the location. Normal pupil is placed almost in the center of iris, but in some cases it can be congenitally eccentric also, known as keratoconus. Here is the image of a patient suffering from keratoconus. So our pupil must be present, our normal pupil must be present here in the center of the iris. Okay, but as we can see that it is not present in the exactly in the center, it is present towards the periphery. Our pupil is present towards the periphery. So this image depicts keratoconus. And the size of our pupil is generally 3 to 4 mm. When it's bright light, the size is 3 mm, and when it is dim light, the size of the pupil is 8 mm. There is probably no significant difference in pupillary size between blue irises and brown irises, nor between males and females. Let's move on. Here I have attached a video where we can see how the pupil of our eye responds to bright and dim light. So let me play the video for you. I hope this video helps in understanding how the pupil responds to bright and dim light. Now let's move on. Why does pupil appears black in color? So the pupil appears black in color because light rays entering the pupil are either absorbed by the tissues inside the eye directly, or they are absorbed after diffuse reflections within the eye. Here are the two images where we can see that both the pupils, this one and this one here, are totally black in color. Now let's imagine the pupil to be colorful. Let's say it's red. We all know that white light consists of 7 colors: violet, red, blue, green, indigo, orange, and yellow. The red pupil will reflect the red portion of light, which will not enter our eyes. This will distort the color of everything that we see. Hence, the color of pupil must be black in color so that we are able to see the spectrum of colors of light from red till violet. Now, let's move on. Isocoria. The two pupils are equal in size. Here in this image we can see that the right eye and the left eye, both the pupils are equal in size, and hence this is known as isocoria. But in this image we can see that the right eye pupil is basically normal in size, but the left eye pupil is not normal in size. It is slightly bigger than the right eye, and this condition is known as isocoria. Thank you.